My name is Ione Mercer. I'm 35 years old, and I come from a family that treats legacy like religion and obedience like currency. The Mercers are old Boston wealth. Private clubs, generational trusts, and dinner parties where silence speaks louder than truth. My sister Blythe was born to maintain that image. I was born to disrupt it. While she married into legacy and curated her life like a lifestyle blog, I built a tech empire in silence, masked behind shell companies and firewalls. To them, I've always been the family embarrassment, the unstable one, the rebel, the one they never truly trusted to stay. But what they didn't know was that while they were planning to cut me out at dinner, I was finalizing a deal that would make me the owner of the company that pays my father's salary. He disowned me with a toast, while I was signing the papers to own his future. The table was too long for the room. Crystal flickered. Forks aligned like soldiers. My mother had arranged the seating chart as if that would prevent the inevitable. I took the empty chair, end of the table. Far enough, they'd have to look down their noses to see me. Classic. Blythe sipped her Pinot like it was holy water. So glad you could make it, finally, she said, not looking up from her phone. I smiled. Time's fluid. My father cleared his throat. Knife paused mid-carve. His gaze locked, unblinking. You're late. Again. I came, he said. That counts for something. He didn't respond, just reached for the wine and poured it too close to the rim. Dinner continued in stilted bites and forced compliments. Blythe's latest campaign. My mother's fundraiser. Nobody asked what I'd been doing. Silence used to bother me. Now it just confirmed things. You know, my father said, placing his fork down with surgical precision, it's time we address something. Here it comes. Ione, he continued, voice cool, steady. If you can't find a way to contribute to this family, or at the very least, stop embarrassing it, maybe you should find somewhere else to live. The chandelier buzzed overhead. Nobody flinched. I'm sorry. I asked, voice sharp. You've made your choices, he said. You walked away from everything this family stands for. And tonight, we're doing the same. Blythe's fork scratched ceramic. My mother adjusted a linen napkin, pretending not to hear. Her eyes wouldn't meet mine. My lungs burned, but I didn't exhale. Not yet. You're disowning me, I said flatly. Call it a mutual release, he replied, raising his glass. To a cleaner future. No one else toasted, but no one stopped him either. I stood. You know what's funny about inheritance? I said, you think it's power, but it's just a leash made of paper. I left without another word. Cold air met me like a slap. Boston was brutal in February, a bitter kind of clean. I hit the street and kept walking, past the brownstones, past the luxury sedans. The silence that followed wasn't grief. It was clarity. My phone buzzed. Subject, urgent, ownership confirmation. Raveland Systems acquisition. I stopped walking. The body of the email scrolled in flashes. Final legal, transfer complete. Effective 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Acquisition holding confirmed under Meridian Node. Parent entity, M&I Holdings. Executive signatory, Ione Mercer. A quiet laugh escaped me. Not bitter, just inevitable. He'd disowned me at dinner. At 6 p.m. sharp. The exact time the final documents cleared escrow. Raveland Systems, my father's company, the empire he spent 3 decades building, was now mine. He just didn't know it yet. He told me I wasn't family anymore, while my name was being wired to buy his entire future. The elevator doors opened before I touched the button. That wasn't protocol. I stepped in. Alone. No music. Just the hum of engineered silence as I rose to the 24th floor of the Meridian building, where my real name wasn't printed on glass, but stamped in the metadata of 6 holding firms. I pressed my thumb to the biometric reader. Green. Inside, Calder Voss stood by the digital wall display. Midnight suit, 2 buttons undone, like he'd been here all night. I assumed dinner was lovely, he said without turning. He raised a glass to exile, I replied. Classy. Calder smiled faintly, then swiped his hand across the screen. The acquisition timeline lit up. 12 stages, all green. Congratulations. You now own the operating engine of your father's livelihood. I didn't flinch. Accelerate transfer. I want asset control confirmed by morning. He nodded once. Already initiated. Cut. Server room. Cold air, blinking lights. Naomi Chin, compliance, privacy, iron spine, handed me a tablet. Preliminary audits in. Something's wrong with the payroll structures at Ravelin. How wrong? Shell accounts. Offshore flow-throughs. Bonuses structured as consultancy contracts, but no real work logged. I swiped through the report. The same name popped up again and again. Harlan Mercer. My fingers tightened around the tablet. Keep it sealed. If this leaks. Ione, Naomi interrupted, lowering her voice. There's more. She pulled a second report. Encrypted logs. Ravelin was diverting microdata from third-party platforms. Unauthorized behavioral harvesting. Felony territory. Class action bait. If we closed the acquisition before this was resolved, I would own the liability. If we pull out now, do we still have deniability? Calder entered. Not if we've touched internal files. Which we have. Then we don't pull out. His brow lifted. You're sure? They buried landmines, I said. I'm not walking around them. I'm walking through. Cut. Back in the car, the city lights blurred through the windshield. My driver didn't speak. He never did. That was the point. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. No caller ID. No voice. Just a single text. Walk away from Ravelin. Or the dinner was just the beginning. I didn't reply. I sent the number to Naomi with one word. Trace. Then I watched the street. Every shadow felt like a presence. Every light a camera. The city stopped feeling like home and started feeling like glass. People who say you have nothing to fear if you've done nothing wrong have never stood in a room where someone's building a lie with your name on it. Cut. The next day, Meridian Command Room. 10 monitors. Live data feeds. Calder leaned over a screen. We got something, he said. A name popped up in compliance threads, Maria Sloan. Ravelin's internal auditor. Quiet, low profile. She's been requesting encryption keys outside protocol. Side channel. Looks like it. Bring her in. No need, a voice said from the door. She stood in the frame. Petite. Pale. Eyes red-rimmed like she hadn't slept in a week. Ione Mercer? Yes. I have something to give you, she said. She reached into her coat, slowly, cautiously, and handed me a flash drive. I copied everything, she whispered, because if they get to me before this does. I took it. Calder moved to scan it on the offline machine. Static noise filled the room as the system decrypted. Folders opened. Internal email chains. Forged invoices. Private directives. One of them was signed, Harlan Mercer. The room stayed silent for 12 seconds. Then Calder said, If this goes public, your father could face indictment. I breathed through my teeth. He forged signatures. Multiple, Naomi said. On closed contracts. One dated back 5 years. My fingers curled. He disowned you last night, Calder said, voice low. Today, you own the company that could bury him. My throat burned, but I didn't cough. Pull the timestamps. Verify chain of custody. Already started. The lights flickered. For half a second. Barely noticeable. We all noticed. Cut. I stood alone in the break corridor. Glass wall. Boston skyline. Below me, traffic crawled like insects. Above me, my father had no idea what was falling. He taught me power was control, I whispered. But power isn't control. It's consequence. The reflection in the glass didn't blink. Phone buzzed again. New message. No number. Just a file. Video. 60 seconds long. Play. It showed my father sitting in a boardroom. Not mine. Ravlin's. Across from him, Blythe. Her voice clear. She's going to take it. I told you. His reply let her. It's what we wanted all along. I didn't drop the phone. I just said it aloud. If I bought the company, I own my father's crimes. If I didn't, someone else would erase them. I didn't sleep. Not because I was afraid. Because I was calculating. Fear is a luxury. Strategy is survival. At 3:21 a.m., Naomi texted. Drive verified. Sloane's data is real. Timestamped. Legally admissible. My reply was ohne Wort, satire. Then I sat in the dark and let silence press against the glass. The kind of silence that feels like it's listening back. Cut. 9:07 a.m. Meridian. Secure floor. Full sweep. Calder stood by the whiteboard, already marking names. Ravlin's C-suite. He drew a red circle around 3 of them. 2 are complicit. 1's leveraged. The audit trail hits all 3. I didn't look up from my notes. Who signed the fake contracts? Harlan. And a second witness. Signature scrubbed, but we're running cross scripts. Find it, I said. Already on it. Cut. Mireya Sloane sat across from me in the glass conference cube. Her hands were shaking. So I poured her water. Cold. No words. They told me not to look, she said. So I started printing. Her voice cracked. I thought, if I could save it, maybe I'd have leverage if things went bad. They are bad, I said. She nodded. Then handed me a manila envelope. Actual paper. Not digital. Old school panic. Inside, 2 notarized letters, one bearing my father's initials and an offshore directive. But what froze me was the second signature. Blythe Mercer. Cut scene. Calder stormed in, face tight. We found it. He dropped a hard drive onto the table. That second signature on the scrubbed contract? It's Blythe's. Dated 3 months before the dinner. I stared at it. My pulse didn't race. It slowed. A heavy, deliberate rhythm. She knew. She did more than know, Calder said. She greenlit the payment structure. Backdoor routing through her branding firm. Shell contracts. She leveraged her influencer brand to smuggle fraud. Beautifully, he said. I stood, walked to the window. The skyline shimmered. You ever notice how people justify betrayal with family? I muttered, as if blood makes lies cleaner. No one responded, because they'd all heard the recording. The one from last night. Let her take it. It's what we wanted all along. She'd been working with Harlan. Not after the dinner. Before it. Cut. Late afternoon. I pulled into Blythe's condo garage. Waterfront, glass-wrapped. Cold wind, slicing off the harbor. No security at the front desk. Odd. Upstairs, her door was unlocked. Inside, music played softly. Jazz. Cheap wine on the counter, half full. She was on the balcony. Sunlight on her hair. She turned slowly. Did you come here to kill me? She asked. I didn't answer. She smiled like it was a joke. Then I guess I'm safe. What did he offer you? I asked. She didn't blink. A chance to matter again. Her voice dropped. You don't know what it's like, to be born first and then erased. Every room you walk into, you're the one people watch. I wanted to be necessary. You were. No, I was decorative. She turned away. He said if you bought the company, you'd clean it up, kill the money flow. But if you pulled out, he'd stay safe. I just had to help steer you. You helped him forge federal contracts. She looked back. I helped our father keep his empire. You're the one setting fire to it. I stepped closer. He disowned me, Blythe. He warned me. About what? That once you started winning, no one would be safe. She reached for a wine glass, then stopped. My emails are in the drive, she said. So is my routing info. If this goes public, I burn too. That's the idea, I said. Cut. Back at Meridian, Calder met me at the elevator with a white face. Someone accessed Sloane's drive from an off-site IP. 2 hours ago. How? We don't know. The lights above us flickered. A monitor in the security office blinked black, then came back on. A single word flashed across every screen. Enough. I ran. To the data center. Naomi was already inside, pulling cables. Manual kill switch, she yelled. They're in the system. How? Internal login. Employee ID, Calder Voss. Everything stopped. I looked at Calder. He didn't move. Not shock. Not denial. Stillness. I didn't use that ID, he said slowly. But someone did. Then we all looked at the terminal screen. A file was open. Unlabeled. Encrypted. I touched the mouse. Inside the folder, a contract signed under my name. Dated 4 days ago. I never signed it. The boardroom lights came up like an interrogation. White. Clean. Merciless. Calder slid the final packet across the table. Escrow closed at 6:03 a.m. Transfer recorded with the Secretary of State. Ravelin Systems is now a wholly owned subsidiary of Meridian Node. I signed once. Then again. Ink bled into paper like a confession. Congratulations, Naomi said, voice tight. You just became your father's boss. That's not the win, I said. Control is. Calder tapped the screen. Then here's the problem. The forensic audit rolled. Payroll anomalies. Shell vendors. Bonus structures disguised as consulting fees. The same 3 names circled in red. 1 line pulsed yellow. Missing signature. Which one? I asked. Harlan's, Calder said. On the indemnity waiver. Without it, liability rolls uphill. To me. Yes. I nodded. So he's stalling. He's setting a trap, Naomi said. If you force the assumption without his sign-off, you inherit legacy exposure. I closed my eyes for half a beat. He taught me this, I said quietly. Delay is leverage. Silence is a weapon. Cut. Ravelin HQ smelled like money and ozone. Polished floors. Too much glass. Security recognized me now. That was new. Harlan Mercer is expecting you, the receptionist said, rehearsed calm. His office was the same as always. Dark wood. Framed awards. A city he believed he owned stretched behind him. He didn't stand when I entered. You move quickly, he said. That's good. Impatience can be taught. You're holding the signature, I said. A smile. Not warmth. Strategy. You always hated paperwork, he said. I wondered how long before it became your problem. You forged federal contracts. He shrugged. I optimized them. You laundered money. I preserved an ecosystem. I stepped closer. You disowned me. He finally looked up. His eyes were steady. Prepared. I knew who you were before dinner, he said. 6 months, actually. You're not as invisible as you think. The room tilted. You knew, I said. I suspected. Confirmed it later. He leaned back. The dinner was necessary. For what? To see if you'd reach for power the moment I took family away. I laughed once. It sounded wrong in the room. You humiliated me to test my reaction. I raised you to respond to pressure, he said. Not affection. You tried to bait me into a mistake. And you took the company instead, he said, almost proud. Which means you're ready. Ready for what? He stood, slow, deliberate, to hold what I built, to carry the weight. You think this is about money? It never was. I felt it then. The shape of it. Control. You wanted me dependent, I said, even if I was the one in charge. I wanted you inside the system, he replied, where I could see you. A thought cut through the noise. Clean. Cold. Sign, I said. Or I take this public. He didn't answer. The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then the alarms went off. Cut. Security flooded the hall. Naomi's voice crackled in my ear. Server breach. Internal. They're wiping the mirrors. Who? I asked. Unknown. But they're fast. Calder appeared, breathless. Sloane's gone. What do you mean gone? Her badge pinged at 10:14. Then nothing. Phone dead. Office empty. The monitors blinked black. Then came back. Blank. Years of data erased in seconds. Harlan watched the chaos unfold like weather. You see, he said calmly, this is what happens when you threaten foundations. I turned to him. You did this. I allowed it. A line I'd learned early came back to me. Something about power revealing itself when the lights go out. I said it out loud. People don't fear losing money. They fear losing control. He smiled. Then you understand. I didn't answer. I was already moving. Cut. Stairwell. Steel steps. My heels echoed too loud. Phone in hand. Naomi again. We isolated the breach. Originated from an executive override. Whose? I asked. A pause. Too long. Harlan's, she said. My chest tightened. Not panic. Focus. File mandatory incident reports, I said. SEC DOJ. Preserve what's left. Lock down the board. And your father? Leave him, I said. He's already exposed. I reached the lobby. Cameras everywhere. People watching. Always watching. A message buzzed in. Unknown sender. He knew. He planned it. And he wants you closer. I stopped walking. Another message followed. This isn't a takeover. It's a grooming. I looked back at the tower. Glass reflecting sky. Nothing solid. Nothing honest. He knew who I was before dinner, I whispered. But he still disowned me. My reflection stared back, sharper now. Which means he never wanted a daughter. He wanted a weapon. I stepped off the elevator without music. Just the hum of security scanners and the faint buzz of fluorescent lights. The corridor was cold. Too sterile for a building that once smelled like ambition. My boots clicked. Faster. I reached the door to the executive wing. Open, I said to the keycard reader. It didn't. Then it beeped. Green. The door slid. And I walked into Betrayal. Calder was waiting. Not surprised. Just still. They tried to crash the system, he said. His voice was smooth. Too smooth. They used backdoor overrides. Sloane's purge wasn't random. I didn't ask how he knew so much. I already suspected. Behind him, monitors flickered with lines of code. Like digital serpents shedding data. We traced the breach, Calder said. It originated from an internal access point. Executive privilege. My eyes landed on the name, blinking red on the central screen. Blythe Mercer. A chill cut my spine. Not fear. Recognition. Because this was never collateral damage. This was orchestration. I didn't shout. I didn't need to. I just said it. She's in on it. Calder didn't blink. That's the lead. 2 words. Heavy. I turned. The hallway lights dimmed. Cut. Blythe's condo was stark in daylight. Glass walls. Waterfront view. A skyline that promised everything and delivered distance. I buzzed the intercom. No answer. So I climbed. 40 floors. 1 breath at a time. When the door opened, it wasn't silence. It was jazz. Slow piano. A wine glass, half full on the table. Blythe stood at the balcony. Sun cutting angles through glass. Her eyes were steady. Did you come here to kill me? She asked. I didn't answer. She didn't flinch. I see you found the data, she said. Yes. She nodded. as if it's something new. What did he offer you? I asked. A chance to matter again, she said. Tone even. Too calm. I stepped closer. Blythe, I said. You didn't help him preserve an empire. You helped him slow me down, she corrected, by forging signatures. Her jaw didn't twitch. What's a little creative bookkeeping if it keeps the family safe? Safe, I repeated. That's the word they use when they describe their lies. A beat. You think I wanted this? She asked. I stared at her. No answer. She looked away. The city swirled behind her like a painting. I did it because I was told you were unstable, she said quietly. I did it because I believed him. Her voice broke just once. Only once. Then she swallowed it. Cut. Traffic outside. Red lights. Sirens. My phone buzzed. Naomi. Calder's car exploded in the garage. I read it twice. Then third. My pulse didn't spike. It sharpened. Alive. Her reply. One body recovered. Second missing. Not enough information. Too little. I dropped the phone. The sound echoed. Then another message. Unknown sender. Walk away. Or next time it's not the car that explodes. 3 words. Half threat. Whole fear. Cut. I left Blythe's condo without a sound. Back in the elevator. Lights blinked. Phones buzzed. Security pings everywhere. Blythe's voice trailed behind me. You're burning the bridge before you cross it. No, I wasn't burning. I was clearing it. Because roads built on lies don't lead anywhere safe. They lead to ruins. Back at Meridian, the command room was war. Monitors blinked illegal access alerts. FBI notifications. SEC mandatory disclosure timers counting down. One by one, notifications flooded in. Unauthorized access. Suspicious activity detected. Federal probe initiated. The atmosphere was electrical. Charged. Bare wire tension. Calder watched the feeds like a general at the front line. Then he turned. And the world shifted. We found something else. His voice was slow. Serious. Pacing measured. Hidden in Sloane's backup before purge. He held up a USB. It was buried. Not in code. In plain text. I reached for it. My fingers didn't tremble. I opened the file. Scrolling. Names. Connections. Unauthorized approvals. But one stood out. A signature. Old. Almost invisible. Harlan Mercer. Signed. Stamped. Authenticated. Legally traceable. He wasn't just coerced. He was orchestrating. Not only that. Underneath his signature. Another line. One I recognized instantly. Not forged. Voluntary. My mother's. The world tilted. Not because of betrayal, but because I never saw it coming. He didn't just plan it. He brought her in. And now we all had to pay. It was quiet at dawn. Too quiet. My phone buzzed once, no number, just text. This isn't over. I didn't flinch. Not anymore. I stood in the Meridian command room. Screens lined the walls. Live tickers. Threat vectors. Automated alerts blinking in red like distant gunfire. Calder was there. Naomi too. Silence hung heavy. We've filed every mandatory report, Calder said. Essie, I repeated. DOJ. My voice was even but sharp. We've looped cybercrime. Homeland's next. I nodded. Outside, the city pulsed, oblivious. Oblivious to what had just been pulled from beneath its feet. I walked to the largest screen. The one with the Ravelin Systems logo. The ticker underneath scrolled. Meridian node acquires Ravelin Systems. Harlan Mercer under investigation. Blythe Mercer detained. It was unfolding. Publicly. And legally. Funny thing about truth, I said softly, pacing one slow step at a time. It doesn't need to be loud. It just has to be undeniable. Calder looked at me. Your father's executive override signatures are invalid, but the contracts are solid because your acquisition was clean. I didn't respond, because I felt it. The shift. The balance. I walked over to the glass wall. Boston skyline on fire with sunrise. Below, the streets moved with normal life. Traffic. Coffee shops. Newscasters. No idea how close they had been to collapse. Next message. You think this was his plan all along? It was from Blythe. I didn't reply. Instead, I stepped into the elevator. Outside Crest Tower, security drones hovered. Press tents lined the perimeter. Cameras like vultures. I walked up the steps with the weight of every headline yet to come. Reporters swarmed. Ms. Mercer, any comment on your father's indictment? Will you fire him? Is this personal revenge? I paused, looked at every lens pointed at me. Today isn't about vengeance, I said. It's about accountability. A pause. Power without responsibility is a sentence, not a privilege. Cut. Inside, the boardroom had been converted to a press forum. Harlan stood behind a podium, flanked by legal counsel. His face was pale, too composed. Reporters shouted questions. Flashbulbs popped like distant artillery. He stepped forward. Today we acknowledge systemic failure, he started, and I accept full responsibility. The cameras ate it up. Then I walked onto the stage. The room went still. I stood at the mic. Not angry, not triumphant, just present. Control isn't a fortress to hide behind, I began, voice calibrated. It's a mirror you can't refuse to look into. Whispers rippled. He taught me that pressure reveals character, I continued, but I learned that pressure also reveals truth. Harlan didn't flinch. I dropped the final line. And the truth is this: no family, no company, no legacy is above the law. The room exploded again. Cut. Later, investigation teams led Harlan away in cuffs. No drama, no theatrics, just steel handcuffs and a slip of paper labeling him as an accused, not untouchable. Blythe watched from a distance, flanked by federal agents. Her eyes didn't meet mine. She was silent, not regretful, just empty. I stepped outside again. The sun was higher now. A helicopter buzzed overhead. Someone said once, "Power is nothing unless you can resist using it." I whispered it low, a mantra, because today I had power, and I used it with precision, not rage, not punishment, but justice and clarity. I walked back to the car. Calder opened the door. No words passed, just understanding. Naomi was already inside, paperwork in hand, exhaustion stitched beneath her eyes. I closed my eyes for a moment, breathed in, breathed out. The city didn't tremble. It just watched. And that was the point. That night I stood in my penthouse, lights dancing over glass and steel. My reflection looked older, sharper, different. Not the girl who walked out of dinner. Not the daughter cut loose by her father. Not the shadow running from her own power. Just me. I whispered, almost to myself. Winning isn't the end. It's the beginning of who we become when we don't have to prove anything to anyone. That was the truth. No applause. No vindication. Just a quiet room and a woman who had rewritten her own legacy without burning anyone to ash. Outside, the city lights glowed soft and relentless. I stepped to the balcony. Wind off the harbor. Cold. Cleansing. I exhaled. And finally I let go. No threats left. No puppet strings. Just freedom I had earned with broken paper trails and whispered threats. And in that moment, standing above the streets that once felt like cages, I realized something rare. Power is not taken. It is claimed. And once claimed, it transforms you. not into what others fear, but into what truth demands.